Hana Kim rubbed her eyes and looked around the huge metal hall. The cryosleep had made her feel sick and dizzy. Her body ached from lying still for so many months. She pulled her small bag closer and joined the long line of travelers waiting at the immigration desk. Kepler Station was bigger than anything she had ever seen. The ceiling was so high she could barely see it. Strange lights moved across the walls like flowing water. Aliens walked everywhere. Some had 4 arms, others had scales instead of skin. A few floated in the air using small machines attached to their backs. Hana tried not to stare. She was a xenobiologist, someone who studied alien life. She had read about these species in books and watched videos, but seeing them in real life was different. They were more colorful and moved in ways that seemed impossible. The line moved slowly. Each person stepped up to a tall machine with a blue screen. They put their hand on a flat surface and waited. The machine would beep once and a green light would appear. Then they could walk through to the main station. Hana watched the process dozens of times. It looked simple enough. She practiced what she would say when her turn came. She was here on a research grant to study how plants grew on different worlds. She had all her papers ready in her bag. Finally, her turn arrived. The immigration officer was tall and thin with gray skin and large black eyes. His name tag said Veltar in both alien writing and basic English letters. He looked at her with what might have been curiosity. "Purpose of visit?" Veltar asked. His voice sounded like it came from very far away. "Research," Hana said. She tried to sound confident. "I'm here to study plant life on mining worlds." "Place hand on scanner." Veltar pointed to the flat surface on the machine. Hana pressed her palm down on the cool metal. The machine started to hum. Blue light moved under her hand and she felt a small tingling sensation. This was normal, she told herself. The scanner was just reading her DNA to make sure she was who she said she was. But instead of one beep, the machine made several quick sounds. Beep, beep, beep. The blue light changed to yellow, then to orange. Veltar frowned at his screen. "Try again," he said. Hana lifted her hand and placed it back down. The same thing happened. Beep, 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 orange light. No green light. Is something wrong? Hana asked. "Scanner is having difficulty reading your genetic code," Veltar said. He tapped some buttons on his screen. One more time. Hana pressed her hand down harder this time. The machine hummed louder. The light under her hand grew brighter. Then suddenly the humming stopped. The screen flashed red. Letters appeared in bright white text. Hana could read some of it, but not all. What she could read made her stomach drop. Species Deathworlder, Earth. Below that, more text appeared in the alien language. But at the bottom, in letters large enough for everyone to see, were the words, "Security Protocol Activated." Veltar stumbled backward from his desk. His large eyes grew even larger. He made a sound that might have been fear or surprise. Other aliens in nearby lines stopped what they were doing and turned to look. "I don't understand," Hana said. "What does that mean?" But Veltar was already pressing buttons on his desk. Loud alarms started ringing throughout the immigration area. Red lights flashed on the walls. In the distance, Hana could hear running footsteps getting closer. "Please stay where you are," Veltar said, but he was backing away from her as he spoke. "There must be some mistake," Hana said. She reached for her bag to get her identification papers. But before she could open it, security officers surrounded her. They wore black uniforms and carried weapons that looked like they shot energy instead of bullets. Their faces were hidden behind dark helmets. Hana counted 8 of them, all pointing their weapons at her. "Hands where we can see them," one of the officers said through a speaker in his helmet. "I haven't done anything wrong," Hana protested. "I'm just a scientist. I study plants." "Move slowly toward the security checkpoint," the officer commanded. Hana looked around the immigration area. Every alien was staring at her. Some were taking pictures with devices she didn't recognize. Others were moving away quickly like they were afraid she might explode. "What's a Deathworlder?" she asked the security officer. The officer didn't answer. He just gestured with his weapon for her to keep walking. As they escorted her through the station, Hana noticed how the other aliens reacted to her presence. Some pointed and whispered to each other. Others made sounds that might have been gasps of surprise or fear. A few turned and ran in the opposite direction. The security checkpoint was a small room with metal walls and no windows. There was a table, 2 chairs, and another scanner built into the wall. The officers told her to sit down and wait. "How long will this take?" Hana asked. "I have reservations at a hotel." Someone will be with you shortly, one officer said. Then they all left, and she heard the door lock behind them. Hana sat alone in the room and tried to understand what had happened. She had traveled to many countries on Earth for her research, but she had never had problems with immigration before. Her papers were all in order. She had enough money for her stay. She wasn't carrying anything illegal. The word Deathworlder kept repeating in her mind. It sounded scary, like something from a horror movie. But she was just Hana Kim from Seoul, Korea. She taught biology at a university. She liked to grow tomatoes in her small apartment. She had never hurt anyone in her life. Through the walls, she could hear voices speaking in alien languages. The words were too muffled to understand, but the tone sounded serious and worried. Sometimes she heard her name being mentioned. After what felt like hours, the door opened again. A different alien entered. This one had blue skin and wore what looked like an official uniform with many badges. His movements were careful and slow, like he was trying not to frighten her. "Miss Kim," he said in accented but clear English.
"I am Captain Daeho Park, head of security for this station."
"We need to talk." Hana felt relief that someone spoke Korean-style English even if they were alien. Finally, someone who can help me understand what's happening. There's been some kind of mistake. Captain Park sat down across from her, but he kept his distance. "I'm afraid there has been no mistake. The scanner identified you correctly. You are human from Earth. Yes, that's right. Is that a problem?" Captain Park was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was very serious. "Miss Kim, according to our galactic records, Earth is classified as a lost death world. We believed your species was extinct, or that you never existed at all." "That's impossible," Hana said. "Earth has billions of humans. We have cities and governments and universities. I flew here on a human-built ship." "A human-built ship traveled through space to reach our station?" "Well, no. I took transport ships from other species. But humans built the shuttles that got me to the first station." Captain Park made notes on a device that looked like a tablet. "Miss Kim, I need you to understand something very important. In our galaxy, beings from death worlds are considered extremely dangerous. Earth is rated as one of the most hostile planets we know of." "Hostile? Earth is beautiful. We have oceans and forests and mountains. Yes, and storms that can destroy cities. Gravity that would crush most species. An atmosphere that is toxic to 90% of known life forms." Hana stared at him. "You think I'm dangerous because I come from Earth?" "The entire station is in lockdown mode because of you," Captain Park said. "Half the aliens here have never seen a human before. The other half thought humans were just scary stories parents told their children." "I'm not scary," Hana said. "I'm a plant scientist. I help things grow." Captain Park looked at her for a long time. "Miss Kim, you may not feel dangerous to yourself, but you are a being that evolved on a world where everything is trying to kill you. That makes you very different from the rest of us." Captain Park left Hana alone again, while he went to check the galactic records. She could hear voices outside her door getting louder and more excited. Sometimes she heard the word human, spoken in different alien languages. When the door opened again, Captain Park returned with another alien. This one was shorter and had green skin with small spots all over it. She wore a white coat like the doctors on Earth wore. "This is Dr. Boram Lee," Captain Park said. "She studies alien life forms for the station." Dr. Lee sat down and opened a large book filled with pictures and writing. "I have been researching your species since you arrived," she said. Her English was very good, but she spoke slowly like she was being careful with each word. "What did you find out?" Hana asked. "Earth appears in our records as a Class 12 death world," Dr. Lee said. She turned the book around so Hana could see the page. There was a picture of Earth from space, but the writing around it was in alien symbols. "It is rated as one of the most dangerous planets in this part of the galaxy." "Dangerous how?" Hana asked. She looked at the picture of her home world. It looked beautiful and blue, just like in all the photos she had seen. Dr. Lee pointed to different sections of the page. "Your planet has extreme gravity. Most species would be crushed just trying to stand on the surface. The atmospheric pressure would collapse the lungs of most beings." "But I breathe just fine," Hana said. "Exactly. That is what makes you so remarkable. And so frightening." Dr. Lee turned to another page. This one showed pictures of different aliens with notes written beside them. "Your atmosphere contains 21% oxygen. For most species, anything above 12% is toxic. Above 15% causes permanent brain damage. Above 18% is usually fatal." Hana thought about this. "So I can breathe poison?" To us, yes. You live in what we would consider a toxic gas mixture. Captain Park leaned forward. Tell her about the gravity. Dr. Lee nodded. Earth's gravity is 1.0 g, which we use as a standard measurement. Most species evolved on worlds with gravity between 1.3 and 0.7 g. The gravity on Earth would make it impossible for most of us to even lift our heads. How? Do you know all this if you thought humans were extinct? Hana asked. We have probe data from long ago, Dr. Lee explained. Ships have passed near your solar system and taken measurements. But no one ever tried to land because the conditions looked too dangerous. Captain Park stood up and walked to the wall. There are other things too. Your weather patterns are classified as extreme. You have storms with winds over 200 kilometers per hour. We call those hurricanes, Hana said. They're dangerous, but people survive them. People survive them? Dr. Lee made a note on her tablet. Winds at 100 kilometers per hour would destroy most of our buildings. Your planet also has earthquakes, Captain Park continued. The ground literally moves and shakes. Yes, but most of the time the ground is perfectly still, Hana said. Dr. Lee looked amazed. Most of the time? You mean these earthquakes happen regularly? Well, small ones happen pretty often, but big ones are rare. Define small, Dr. Lee said. Hana tried to remember her geography classes. Maybe a 2 or 3 on the Richter scale. You can barely feel them. Dr. Lee and Captain Park looked at each other. A 2 on your scale would be considered a major disaster on most worlds, Captain Park said. Dr. Lee turned to a new page in her book. There are also the biological dangers. Your world has predators that hunt other animals for food. You mean like lions and tigers? Hana asked. You have creatures that are designed to kill and eat other living beings and you live alongside them? Well, not right alongside them. They live in different places mostly. Mostly. Dr. Lee was writing very fast now. Sometimes they come into cities, but that's unusual. We have ways to keep them away. Captain Park sat back down. Miss Kim, do you understand what you're telling us? You're describing a world where the air is toxic. The ground moves without warning. Storms can destroy buildings, and creatures that kill for food roam around. When you put it that way, it does sound bad, Hana admitted, but it's also beautiful. We have flowers and music and art. Children play in parks. People fall in love and have families. And all of this happens while you're surrounded by danger? Dr. Lee asked. I guess we just got used to it over time. Dr. Lee closed her book and looked at Captain Park. This explains the legends. What legends? Hana asked. Captain Park hesitated before answering. There are stories told among different species. Stories about beings from a nightmare world. Creatures that could survive anywhere. Fight anything. Adapt to conditions that would kill everyone else. But they're just stories, Dr. Lee added quickly, like the scary tales parents tell children to make them behave. What do these stories say about humans? Hana asked, though she wasn't sure she wanted to know. That they're unstoppable warriors, Captain Park said. That they can heal from wounds that would be fatal to others. That they never give up even when facing certain death. That they can eat poison and breathe toxic gas, Dr. Lee added. That they're so dangerous other species run away just from seeing them. Hana laughed, but it wasn't a happy laugh. That's ridiculous. I've never been in a fight in my life. The worst injury I ever had was a broken arm when I was 12. You broke a bone and survived? Dr. Lee asked, her voice full of amazement. Of course I survived. Bones heal. Not for most species. A broken bone usually means death. Hana stared at her. You're joking, right? I am very serious, Dr. Lee said. Our bones are much more fragile than yours. Even a small crack can be fatal if it becomes infected. Captain Park's communication device made a beeping sound. He looked at it and frowned. I have to go. The station administrator wants to meet with me immediately. After he left, Dr. Lee moved her chair closer to Hana. Can I ask you some questions about life on Earth? Sure, Hana said. Do you really have creatures that hunt other animals? Yes, but they usually don't bother humans unless they're really hungry or protecting their babies. And you're not afraid to go outside knowing these creatures exist? Not really. The dangerous ones live in forests and jungles. I live in a city. Dr. Lee made more notes. What about the toxic atmosphere? How do humans avoid poisoning? We don't, we just breathe it. It's normal for us. And the extreme gravity doesn't cause you pain? What extreme gravity? It feels normal to me. Dr. Lee put down her tablet and looked at Hana with what might have been wonder or fear. Miss Kim, I think you don't understand how extraordinary you are. I'm not extraordinary. I'm just a regular person. A regular person who lives in conditions that would kill most of the galaxy's population within minutes. Before Hana could respond, loud voices started shouting outside the door. They could hear running footsteps and more alarms going off. Dr. Lee went to the door and listened. When she turned back to Hana, her expression was worried. What's happening? Hana asked. Word has spread through the station that we have a real human here. Some species are demanding you be locked up permanently. Others want you removed from the station immediately. And some, Dr. Lee continued, want to see you for themselves. They don't believe the stories are true. The door opened and Captain Park came back in. He looked tired and stressed. What did the administrator say? Dr. Lee asked. The Hegemony Council has been contacted. They're sending ships to decide what to do with our guest. What's the Hegemony Council? Hana asked. The government that controls this part of space, Captain Park explained. They make decisions about dangerous situations. Am I a dangerous situation? Captain Park looked at her for a long moment. Miss Kim, you might be the most dangerous thing to happen to our galaxy in 1,000 years. Even if you don't mean to be. Station Administrator Woo Jin Choi paced back and forth in his office. Through the large windows, he could see crowds of aliens gathering in the main corridors. Some held signs with writing he couldn't read from this distance. Others were taking pictures and recording videos with their devices. This is a disaster, he said to Captain Park and Dr. Lee, who sat across from his desk. Half the species on this station are demanding we lock up the human. The other half want to study her like she's some kind of scientific specimen. What did the Hegemony Council say? Doctor, Lee asked. They want her contained or removed within 48 hours, Administrator Choi replied. They consider her presence a threat to galactic stability. Captain Park frowned. But she hasn't actually done anything wrong. She came here legally with proper documentation. Documentation from a world we thought was a myth, Administrator Choi pointed out. How do we know her papers are real? Dr. Lee opened her tablet and showed them her notes. I've been studying human biology based on our conversation with her. If the legends are true, she possesses abilities that could indeed be considered threatening. What kind of abilities? Administrator Choi asked. Enhanced strength, speed, and endurance compared to most species. Resistance to toxins and radiation. Ability to heal from injuries that would be fatal to others. And most concerning of all, an apparent lack of fear in situations that would terrify other beings. Administrator Choi sat down heavily in his chair. So the stories are true. Humans are as dangerous as the legends say. Maybe, Dr. Lee said carefully. But she seems genuinely confused about why we're afraid of her. Either she's an incredible actor, or humans don't realize how different they are. Captain Park stood up. I have an idea. Instead of just guessing about her abilities, why don't we test them? Test them how? Administrator Choi asked. Scientific tests, controlled conditions. Dr. Lee could design experiments to see if humans really are as capable as the legends suggest. Dr. Lee looked interested. That could work. If we can prove she's not actually dangerous, maybe the Hegemony Council will change their minds. And if we prove she is dangerous? Administrator Choi asked. Then at least we'll know what we're dealing with, Captain Park said. An hour later, they brought Hana to the station's medical laboratory. She looked around at all the strange equipment and alien medical devices with curiosity rather than fear. Are you going to experiment on me? She asked. We're going to run some tests to understand your biology better, Dr. Lee explained. Nothing painful or harmful. You can refuse any test you don't want to do. Will this help prove I'm not dangerous? We hope so, Captain Park said. The first test was simple. Dr. Lee had Hana breathe into a machine that measured the gases in her lungs. This is incredible, Dr. Lee said, looking at the results. She's processing oxygen at levels that would cause seizures in most species. Is that bad? Hana asked. It's impossible, Dr. Lee replied, but you're doing it anyway. The next test measured Hana's strength. Dr. Lee connected sensors to her arms and asked her to lift various weights. Start with something light, Doctor, Lee said, pointing to a small metal bar. This weighs about 10 kilograms. Hana picked it up easily with one hand. This is light? Dr. Lee checked her instruments. Try this one. She pointed to a much larger bar. Hana lifted the second bar with both hands. It felt heavy, but not too difficult. How much does this weigh? 50 kilograms, Dr. Lee said, staring at her readings. That's not too bad. I lifted heavier things when I helped my friend move to a new apartment. Dr. Lee looked at Captain Park. Most species need mechanical assistance to lift anything over 20 kilograms. They tried several more tests. They measured how fast Hana could react to lights and sounds. They tested how well she could see in different lighting conditions. They checked her balance and coordination. Each test produced results that amazed the aliens but seemed normal to Hana. Your reflexes are 3 times faster than the galactic average, Dr. Lee told her. You can see clearly in light levels that would blind most species or in darkness where others would be completely lost. I just have normal human vision, Hana said. That's exactly the problem, Captain Park said. What's normal for you is superhuman for everyone else. Dr. Lee set up the next test. This one might be uncomfortable. We're going to gradually increase the gravity in this chamber to see how much you can tolerate. Increase the gravity? How do you do that? Artificial gravity generators, Dr. Lee explained. We'll start at normal station gravity, which is 0.4 g, and slowly increase it. Hana stood in the center of the chamber while Dr. Lee operated the controls from outside. At first, nothing seemed to happen. We're at 0.6 g now, Dr. Lee announced. I don't feel any different, Hana said. 0.8 g. Still feels normal. 1.0 g. This is Earth gravity. Hana smiled. Now it feels like home. Dr. Lee looked worried. I'm going to increase it beyond Earth normal. Tell me immediately if you feel uncomfortable. 0.2 g. Hana felt slightly heavier, but she could still move around easily. 5 g. Now Hana could feel the difference. Walking was more difficult, and she felt tired faster, but she could still function. 2.0 g. This was genuinely difficult. Hana had to concentrate to keep her balance, but she was still standing and moving. Stop the test, Captain Park said suddenly. Why? Dr. Lee asked. Look at the observation deck. Through the windows of the gravity chamber, they could see dozens of aliens watching the experiment. Most of them were lying on the floor or leaning against walls, unable to stand up in the increased gravity. We're at 1.5 g, Dr. Lee said. Most of them lost consciousness at 1.2 g. Hana looked through the windows and saw aliens struggling to breathe and move. Are they okay? They will be once we return to normal gravity, Dr. Lee said. But you're still standing upright in gravity that has incapacitated everyone watching you. Dr. Lee quickly returned the gravity to normal levels. The watching aliens slowly got back to their feet, many of them looking at Hana with expressions of amazement and fear. How do you feel? Dr. Lee asked Hana. Tired, but fine. It was like doing exercise. Exercise, Captain Park repeated. You consider surviving in 2G to be exercise? Word of the tests spread quickly through the station. Soon, crowds gathered, outside the laboratory trying to get a glimpse of the human who could do impossible things. Administrator Choi arrived to check on their progress. How are the tests going? Every test confirms what we feared, Dr. Lee said. She possesses physical abilities far beyond anything we've recorded in other species. But I'm not trying to hurt anyone, Hana protested. I just want to do my research and go home. We believe you, Administrator Choi said. But the problem isn't what you want to do. It's what you're capable of doing. Captain Park looked out at the crowds gathering in the corridors. We have another problem. Some of the species here are getting very excited about having a real human on the station. Excited how? Administrator Choi asked. Some think she's a sign that the old stories about Deathworlders are true. They're saying if humans still exist, maybe there are other legendary species out there too. Dr. Lee checked her tablet for incoming messages. I'm getting research requests from biologists across the galaxy. Everyone wants to study her. And some of the messages aren't so friendly, Captain Park added. Several species are demanding she be removed immediately. They don't feel safe with a Deathworlder on the station. Hana sat down on a chair that looked too small for her. I never asked to be famous. I just wanted to study how plants adapt to different environments. Maybe that's exactly what you're doing, Doctor, Lee said thoughtfully. You're a plant that adapted to the most dangerous environment we know of. And now you're here, in our much safer environment, showing us what's possible. The question is, Administrator Choi said, what do we do with, you know? Before anyone could answer, alarms started ringing throughout the station. Red lights flashed and an announcement echoed through the corridors in several alien languages. Captain Park activated his communication device. This is Captain Park. What's the emergency? Sir, we have 3 ships approaching the station, came the reply. They're not responding to our communications and they're armed. Pirates? Captain Park asked. Unknown, sir, but they'll be in weapons range in 20 minutes. Administrator Choi looked at Hana, then at his security chief. Captain, get everyone to the emergency shelters. This conversation will have to wait. What about her? Captain Park asked, nodding toward Hana. She comes with us, Administrator Choi decided. We can't leave her alone, and we can't risk her getting captured by whoever is coming. As they hurried through the corridors toward the emergency areas, Hana couldn't help but notice how the other aliens looked at her. Some seemed afraid. Others appeared curious. A few looked at her with something that might have been hope. Whatever was about to happen, she had the feeling her life was about to change in ways she never could have imagined. The emergency shelter was a large room deep inside the station with thick metal walls. Hundreds of aliens sat on benches or on the floor, talking quietly in their different languages. Children of various species stayed close to their parents. Everyone looked worried. Hana sat between Dr. Lee and Captain Park, feeling out of place. She was probably the only human most of these beings had ever seen, and many kept staring at her when they thought she wasn't looking. How long do we usually wait in these shelters? Hana asked. It depends on the threat, Captain Park replied. Sometimes it's just a false alarm. Other times, his words were interrupted by the sound of explosions somewhere above them. The walls shook and dust fell from the ceiling. Several aliens made sounds of fear and parents pulled their children closer. That was weapons fire, Dr. Lee said quietly. Our station defenses? Captain Park asked into his communication device. Negative, sir, came the reply. The attacking ships got past our shields. They've docked on level 7. We're reading multiple intruders moving through the station. More explosions echoed through the walls. The lights flickered several times and some of the aliens began to panic. Stay calm, everyone, Administrator Choi announced over the shelter's speakers. Our security forces are handling the situation. But even as he spoke, they could hear the sounds of fighting getting closer. Energy weapons fired in rapid bursts. There were shouts in languages Hana didn't recognize, and the heavy footsteps of people running. Sir, Captain Park's device crackled. We've lost contact with security teams 3 and 5. The intruders are moving toward the emergency shelters. Captain Park stood up. I need to help coordinate the defense. You can't leave, Dr. Lee protested. If those are pirates, they'll want to capture valuable individuals for ransom. A human would be worth more than anything else on this station. That's exactly why I need to go, Captain Park said. I won't hide while my people are fighting. Hana watched the fear on the faces around her. Children were crying. Adults were holding each other tightly. These beings had never evolved to deal with violence and danger the way humans had. They were peaceful, civilized people who weren't prepared for this kind of threat. How good are your security forces? Hana asked Captain Park. They're well trained, but... He hesitated. Most of them have never been in real combat. This station hasn't seen a pirate attack in over 50 years. Another explosion shook the shelter, this one much closer. Several ceiling panels fell and the lights went out completely. Emergency lighting came on, casting everything in a red glow. Sir, they've breached the main corridor outside Emergency Shelter 2, the voice on Captain Park's device reported. We can't hold them much longer. Hana stood up. Is there another way out of here? Emergency access tunnels, Dr. Lee said. But they lead to the outer sections of the station. If the pirates control those areas, they'll be waiting for us, Captain Park finished. The sounds of fighting were getting very close now. They could hear individual voices shouting orders and the distinct sound of energy weapons charging up. "How many pirates are there?" Hana asked. "Sensors show maybe 20 or 30, Captain Park replied. "But they have military-grade weapons and armor." "How many security officers do you have?" 43, but they're scattered throughout the station." Hana looked around the shelter. There were at least 300 civilians here, including children and elderly aliens. If the pirates broke in, these peaceful beings would be defenseless. "I have an idea," Hana said, "but you're not going to like it." "What?" Captain Park asked. "Let me go talk to the pirates." Dr. Lee grabbed her arm. "Absolutely not. If they capture you, they'll have the most valuable prisoner in the galaxy." "That's the point," Hana said. "If they're focused on me, they might leave everyone else alone." "It's too dangerous," Captain Park protested. "For you, maybe," Hana said. "But remember, I'm a Deathworlder. I evolved on a planet where everything tries to kill you. Maybe I can handle a few pirates." Before anyone could stop her, Hana walked toward the shelter's main door. "Wait," Dr. Lee called after her. "At least take a weapon." Captain Park handed her an energy pistol. "Do you know how to use this?" Hana looked at the weapon. It was lighter than she expected, and the grip felt strange in her hand. "Not really, but I'll figure it out." "The safety is here," Captain Park showed her. "Point and squeeze the trigger. But please, be careful." "If this goes wrong," Hana said, "tell everyone I was just trying to help." She opened the shelter door and stepped into the corridor. The fighting was louder out here. Smoke filled the air, and she could smell burned metal and something that might have been alien blood. Emergency lights flashed along the walls, making everything look like a nightmare. Hana moved carefully through the corridors, following the sounds of battle. Her heart was beating fast, but she wasn't as scared as she thought she should be. Maybe Dr. Lee was right about humans being different. She found the first group of pirates around a corner. They were tall, muscular beings with gray skin and 4 arms each. They wore black armor and carried weapons that looked much more advanced than Captain Park's pistol. "Hey!" Hana shouted. The pirates turned toward her. One of them said something in their language that sounded like surprise. "You're looking for valuable prisoners, right?" Hana continued. "Well, you just found the most valuable one on this station." The pirates looked at each other, then back at her. One of them spoke in broken English. "You are small. Not worth much. I'm human," Hana said. "From Earth." The reaction was immediate. The pirates stepped back, raising their weapons. One of them spoke rapidly into a communication device. "Human, not real," another pirate said, but he sounded uncertain. "Want to test that theory?" Hana asked. She raised the energy pistol, though she kept it pointed at the floor. More pirates arrived until there were 8 of them facing her in the corridor. They kept their weapons aimed at her, but Hana noticed they were all staying well back from her. "You surrender now," the leader said. "Come with us. No hurt other people." "That's not how this works," Hana replied. "You're going to leave this station immediately or I'm going to stop you." The pirates laughed, but it didn't sound like they found her threat very funny. "One small human stop all of us?" The leader asked. "One small human who evolved on a Class 12 death world," Hana corrected. "Your choice." What happened next surprised everyone, including Hana herself. The station's artificial gravity suddenly failed in this section, probably damaged by the fighting. In the sudden weightlessness, the pirates began floating helplessly, their heavy armor working against them. But Hana had grown up on a world with variable gravity zones for training. Her body automatically adjusted to the change. She pushed off from the wall and moved through the zero gravity like she was swimming through air. The energy pistol fired differently than she expected. Instead of a single shot, it released a continuous beam. She swept it across the pirates' weapons, overloading their power cells and making them explode in small, harmless flashes. In less than 30 seconds, 8 heavily armed pirates were floating in the corridor, weaponless and unable to move effectively in zero gravity, while a small human woman floated among them completely in control. "Now," Hana said, pointing her weapon at the leader, "I believe we were discussing you leaving this station." The pirate leader stared at her with what might have been terror or amazement. He spoke into his communication device in his own language, then switched to English. We go now. No more fighting." "Good choice," Hana said. Within an hour, the pirate ships had departed. The station's artificial gravity was restored, and the emergency was declared over. When Hana returned to the shelter, she found hundreds of aliens staring at her in complete silence. Then slowly they began to applaud. It started with one or two individuals, then spread through the entire crowd. Captain Park approached her with an expression of awe.
How did you do that?
I honestly don't know, Hana admitted. I just did what felt natural. Dr. Lee was taking notes frantically. Combat reflexes, zero-gravity adaptation, tactical thinking under pressure. The legends don't even begin to describe what humans are capable of. Administrator Choi joined them, looking stunned. Miss Kim, in less than an hour, you accomplished what our entire security force couldn't do. You single-handedly ended a pirate attack. I just got lucky, Hana said. No, Captain Park said firmly. That wasn't luck. That was exactly what the stories say Deathworlders can do. You adapted to a deadly situation and found a way to win. As word of what had happened spread through the station, Hana noticed that the way other aliens looked at her had changed. There was still fear in their eyes, but there was something else too. Respect, hope, maybe even admiration. What happens now? Hana asked. Administrator Choi looked at Captain Park and Dr. Lee, then back at her. Now, Miss Kim, I think we need to have a very different conversation about your future. 3 days after the pirate attack, Kepler Station was busier than it had ever been. Ships arrived every few hours, bringing aliens from across the galaxy who wanted to see the human who had become famous throughout their worlds. News reporters, scientists, government officials, and curious citizens all came hoping to meet Hana Kim. Administrator Choi had moved her from the security holding room to a comfortable guest suite. But even with the upgraded accommodations, Hana felt like she was still a prisoner, just in a prettier cage. The Hegemony Council ships will arrive tomorrow, Captain Park told her during their morning meeting. Fleet Admiral Kyung-Soo Han is commanding the task force personally. What does that mean for me? Hana asked. Dr. Lee looked up from her research notes. Admiral Han has a reputation for being very strict about security threats. Some say he's never met a problem he couldn't solve with military force. But I'm not a threat, Hana protested. I helped save the station. That might actually make things worse, Administrator Choi said sadly. You've proven that the legends about Deathworlders are true. That makes you more dangerous, not less. Through the large windows of her suite, Hana could see the crowds gathered in the main plaza below. Many held signs with her name written in different alien languages. Some of the signs looked supportive, while others seemed angry or frightened. What do those signs say? She asked. Dr. Lee translated some of them. Some say, welcome human friend and thank you for protecting us. Others say, dangerous Deathworlder, go home and remove the threat. The galaxy is divided about what to do with you, Captain Park explained. Some species see you as a protector. Others see you as too dangerous to be allowed in civilized space. A communication alert sounded on Administrator Choi's device. He listened for a moment, then looked worried. What is it? Dr. Lee asked. Long-range sensors are detecting more ships heading this way, not Hegemony Council ships. These are from species that don't usually travel this far from their homeworlds. Why would they come here? Hana asked. Captain Park checked his own device. According to the messages we're receiving, they want to meet you. Some are species that have been oppressed by stronger neighbors. They're hoping that if humans are real, maybe you can help protect them too. Others, Administrator Choi added, are species that consider themselves strong. They want to test themselves against a Deathworlder. Hana sat down heavily on her couch. This is getting out of control. I just wanted to study alien plants. Your presence here has changed things, Dr. Lee said gently. For the first time in galactic history, we know that beings from Deathworlds not only exist, but they're intelligent, capable, and apparently willing to help others. But I'm just one person. I can't solve everyone's problems. Maybe not, Captain Park said. But you've given hope to species that never had any before. And you've shown that the most powerful forces in the galaxy aren't necessarily the only ones that matter. That evening, Hana was reading one of Dr. Lee's books about galactic history when her suite's communication system activated. Administrator Choi's voice came through the speakers. Miss Kim, we have a situation. Can you come to the main conference room immediately? When Hana arrived, she found the room full of people. Administrator Choi, Captain Park, and Dr. Lee were there, along with several aliens she didn't recognize. On the large screen at the front of the room was the image of another alien, this one wearing what looked like a military uniform. Miss Kim, Administrator Choi said, This is Fleet Admiral Kyung-Soo Han of the Hegemony Council. The alien on the screen studied her carefully. When he spoke, his voice was deep and serious. So you are the human that has caused so much trouble. I didn't mean to cause trouble, Hana replied. Intent does not matter, Admiral Han said. Only results matter, and the results of your presence have been significant. He gestured to someone off-screen, and the image changed to show a star map with dozens of colored dots moving across it. These are ships, Admiral Han explained, all heading toward Kepler Station. Some carry species seeking your protection. Others carry those who see you as a threat to be eliminated. Still others carry beings who want to study you or capture you for their own purposes. How many ships? Captain Park asked. Over 200 from 43 different worlds. The room fell silent. Hana stared at the screen, watching all those dots converging on the station. This is what I was afraid of, Admiral Han continued. Your existence has destabilized the entire sector. Some species are talking about abandoning their treaties with the Hegemony Council. Others are demanding immediate military protection. A few are threatening to attack anyone who harbors you. What do you want me to do? Hana asked. The simplest solution would be to place you in secure containment on a military facility where you cannot cause further disruption. That sounds like prison, Dr. Lee said. It would be for the greater good, Admiral Han replied. One individual's freedom is a small price to pay for galactic stability. Hana looked around the room at the faces watching her. Some looked sympathetic, others seemed afraid, and a few appeared angry. I have a different idea, she said finally. Speak, Admiral Han commanded. Hana took a deep breath. Instead of hiding me away, what if we use this situation to make things better? Explain. All these species are coming here because they want something. Some want protection, others want to test their strength. Some want to study me. What if we give them what they want, but in a controlled way? Administrator Choi looked interested. What do you mean? Set up a meeting. Invite representatives from every species that wants to come. Let them ask their questions, make their proposals, share their concerns. Instead of fighting about what to do with humans, let them decide for themselves. Admiral Han frowned. That could lead to chaos, or it could lead to understanding, Hana said. Right now, everyone is making decisions based on old stories and fear. What if they could make decisions based on facts instead? Dr. Lee leaned forward. She has a point. Most of the conflict is coming from uncertainty. If we can provide clear information about human capabilities and intentions, it might reduce the tensions. And if it doesn't? Admiral Han asked. Then at least we'll know where everyone stands, Captain Park said. Right now, we're just guessing about what different species want. Admiral Han was quiet for a long moment, studying the star map. This is highly irregular. So is having a human in galactic space, Administrator Choi pointed out. If we do this, Admiral Han said slowly, it will be the largest interspecies gathering in galactic history. The logistics alone would be enormous. Kepler Station is designed to handle large crowds, Administrator Choi said. We have the facilities. And the security concerns? I'll handle security, Captain Park volunteered. Admiral Han looked directly at Hana through the screen. And what role would you play in this gathering? I'll answer their questions honestly, Hana said. I'll show them that humans aren't monsters from nightmares. We're just people who evolved on a difficult world. And if some of them decide you're too dangerous anyway, Hana thought about this, then they can decide what to do about it. But at least it will be their choice, based on facts instead of fear. Admiral Han turned away from the screen and seemed to be talking to someone else. After several minutes, he looked back. The Hegemony Council is willing to try this approach, he said finally. But there will be conditions. What conditions? Hana asked. The gathering will be limited to 3 days. No weapons will be allowed in the meeting areas. All discussions will be recorded for official records, and you will agree to abide by whatever consensus emerges from the talks. Even if they decide I should be imprisoned or exiled? Even then, Hana looked at her friends around the table. Dr. Lee nodded encouragingly. Captain Park gave her a small smile. Administrator Choi looked worried but hopeful. I agree, Hana said. Admiral Han nodded. Then we will begin preparations immediately. Miss Kim, in 1 week you will address the largest gathering of intelligent species in galactic history. I hope you're ready. I hope so too, Hana replied. After Admiral Han ended the communication, the room was quiet for a moment. Do you think this will work? Dr. Lee asked. I don't know, Hana admitted. But it's better than spending the rest of my life in a military prison. Captain Park stood up. Whatever happens, you won't face it alone. This station owes you a debt we can never repay. Administrator Choi activated his communication device. This is Administrator Choi to all department heads. We're about to host the most important diplomatic event in galactic history. All leave is canceled, and I want contingency plans for every possible scenario. As the others left to begin preparations, Dr. Lee stayed behind with Hana. Are you scared? She asked, terrified, Hana admitted, but also excited. For the first time since I arrived here, I feel like I might have some control over what happens to me, and to humanity. Dr. Lee added, whatever decision comes out of this meeting will affect not just you, but your entire species. Hana looked out the window at the stars beyond the station. Somewhere out there was Earth, with billions of humans who had no idea their fate was about to be decided by alien species they'd never heard of. No pressure, she said with a weak smile. Dr. Lee laughed.